I believed all along that we could go wherever we wanted to go, as long as everyone believed it. I mean, he told me the first day I ever met him, Purple's going to Pasadena.
I believed in them as much as I knew they believed in themselves.
For this season to turn out the way it did, it's like a dream come true.
We were relentless in the way that we prepared.
And I think that's what we were in 95. We were forced to continue.
He's at the 10! He's in for the touchdown!
As it is called, the Cinderella story. Well, we've had all the romance. Now let's find out if she can dance.
As the wins kept piling up for Northwestern, the spotlight grew brighter, and so did the pressure. The last week of October saw the Wildcats up to number 8 in the AP poll as they headed to Champaign for what would be one of their toughest tests of the season, the rivalry game with Illinois.
Wayne Larrabee, Randy Wright, Jim Barber at Champaign, Illinois. The Northwestern Wildcats in the Fighting Illini of Illinois. It is homecoming here, and U of I is credited with having the first homecoming celebration on a collegiate campus back in 1910.
Here we are, we've got ranked in the top 10. Now we got to go down and play our rival on the road. And, it's like going into a hornet's nest. At that time, we had recruited a lot of similar guys. So, for me personally, Illinois had decided not to offer me a scholarship. A bunch of the guys that were on that roster playing, I knew personally, Chicagoland area guys that I met through recruiting. And so this was a game that was beyond just rivalry for me individually. It was personal.
I think at the time that was, if not one of the top defenses in the nation. We knew right then we were not going to have a lot of time on offense. Like, we had to make quick decisions and quick plays, and very, very limited. And Barnett said, hey, you may only get 3 or 4 chances this game.
You talk about some of the stars they had there. I mean, Kevin Hardy, who's a number 2 pick in the NFL draft 1996. Simeon Rice, number 3 pick in the NFL draft 1996, who's Sim's a good friend of mine. And we knew that was going to be tough for offense to put points on those guys because they were good. They were good front to back.
The games against Illinois were always hard fought, no matter what the records were or the trends were, because of that kind of rivalry. A bunch of guys knew each other, whether it be from the St. Louis area, the Chicago area.
I had a good friend on that team. My high school receiver was their receiver and had a big game against us. And, talking to him leading up to it, it would have been made their season to knock us off. So I think they were pretty fired up to come out on top and sort of ruin our season for us.
To make a play, and it's broken up by Bennett and caught on the play by Rob Majoy. Majoy inside the 10-yard line. An improbable bounce of the ball, and Illinois benefits with a huge 38-yard gain inside the Wildcat 10-yard line. 3rd down and goal to go. Douther cut down short. Power I on 4th down and goal to go. Douther again, fake to Douther and rolling is Weaver for the touchdown. Excellent play fake to Douther, and Weaver rolls in on the score.
Once again, we were underdogs in that game. So despite having however many consecutive wins at that point, we were still underdogs.
That Illinois team was really tough to play against. I mean, really good. There had been enough film on us to that point in the year that there was really no surprises. I mean, we are who we were, and we were going to line up and run, the same offense we'd run in the previous weeks to win those games.
They prepared. They knew a lot of our tendencies, and of course on defense, they were able to pick us apart in different areas, both in the air and on the ground. And then, of course, I think it was more the trash talking the whole time. There's only one other team that I knew that talked more trash, and that was University of Iowa. And those receivers would run down the field, and they're just in your ear, like, yeah, just like, can I just punch you right now? Because I will. And I make sure the referee, if he sees it, you're the second punch.
Holcomb. close to the 10-yard line. They'll mark it just outside the 11. Second down call for Weaver. Holcomb the other way. Still on his feet to the end zone for the touchdown.
That Illinois game was probably, thinking back on it, they may have had some closer scores, but I really think that was the closest they came to losing a Big Ten game, because they got down early in that game, and they were kind of coming from behind much of the day.
One thing I do remember was it was cold and exceptionally windy that day. Field position in that game was really important, because if you were going against the wind, you weren't going to be able to throw the ball at all.
Brian Goings had to come in and kick for us. And here he's a redshirt freshman. And nobody really knew what we were going to have with Brian. But Brian could have played in the secondary. He was very confident of his abilities, too.
Goins kicked a 40-yard field goal last week against Wisconsin. And the field goal of 49 yards is good.
His burning desire to succeed and to be the best and to be perfect and to do his job was there. That was always evident. And he made some very key field goals down the stretch, some key junctures. I thought he did a fantastic job.
We definitely needed that, right? I mean, even if it's 14-3 at that point, it helps you get a little momentum and know that you got a shot.
We were just lucky we had two at that point, which a lot of teams don't. So, we had to take a chance in that game because the wind was blowing really, really hard.
I give credit to our O-line for just blocking that defensive line, including Simeon Rice. A lot of credit to Snur for just putting the ball in. And it was windy. It was cold. Everyone did their part, blocking, throwing. I had to do mine by making, some great catches. And, that's part of being a team. Do your part and everything. And everyone's doing their part, things will work out.
Snur takes the snap, back to throw it here. And he's going deep down the far side for Dwayne Bates. Makes the catch! Touchdown! Dwayne Bates outleaped Washington for the ball at the goal line. Fourth touchdown of the year for Dwayne Bates.
I've learned a lot in football. They say football is really about a game of inches, right? And I remember that play. I ran a 9 route, which is a go route.
It was tough throwing the ball with that. I want to say winds that day were like 25 miles an hour. Dwayne made a nice catch down the left sideline the way we were going, and he got us back. Got us back to a respectable margin to figure out a way to win that game.
Really, I ran the route. Not sure if Steve's going to even throw this ball because I am blanketed running up the sideline. But I looked up, saw the ball coming. I went to reach out, and if you look at the film, he went to swipe at the ball and literally was this close.
Dwayne was just extremely reliable, and he was also such a big target and had such strong hands that if Steve got it near him, he was going to pull it down.
Blitz coming. Interception. Eric Collier. And Northwestern has it at the Wildcat 36. It was a tale of two halves, essentially, in the first half. Illinois very impressive in the first quarter, building a 14-0 lead. Northwestern came back with 10 unanswered points. And as we reach halftime, it's a 4-point ball game in favor of the homestanding Fighting Illini of Illinois.
The Foundation Expect Victory is supported by Northwestern Medicine, relentless in the quest for better care, and by Under Armour, official outfitter of Northwestern football.
And here's the kickoff. Kind of a short kick taken by one of the upbacks. And apparently as he made the catch on that ball, he was had a foot out of bounds. Now Illinois, a golden opportunity to build on its 4-point lead. Ty Douthert got the call, and he is gobbled up by Rice. Matt Rice, the junior out of Middleton, Wisconsin.
We had to give them the ball in the third quarter in order for us to have the win in the fourth quarter. And so I remember before that at halftime just telling our kids, our players, this is what we have to do. We have got to hold them scoreless in this quarter.
Third down and about 11. Blitz is on. Ismaili erases the quarterback, and the drive is stopped.
You know, the best thing about Hudayfa is that he was superiorly gifted athletically. You know, you could take him and blitz him off the edge and have a heavy-footed lineman, you know, trying to get back in a set, and he could, like, screw him in the ground just with his quickness. You know, he's kind of like a cat. He was so quick.
Happening with Northwestern having the ball when Illinois has the wind. Their offense can't take advantage of that.
Autry, nice through for about 3 more yards.
Illinois had some great athletes on defense, but it's interesting because later on we got in that game, when we started to get momentum, what you saw was that team, there were a bunch of individuals, and they started to break apart and point fingers and blame each other. You never heard that from us, no matter what was going on. We were down early in that game. You didn't hear that from guys, or if you did, it was to pick them up. We stayed together. We kept fighting.
Blitz. They run right into it. Tied down third, loss of 4 yards.
Pat will always tell you this too, right? Fitz will always tell you this. That defensive line was really good. And, you know, the schemes that they ran back then weren't necessarily the schemes that you run today in the passing offenses. Fitz made a lot of tackles that year, but he also wasn't blocked very much. And he wasn't blocked very much because those guys were doing their jobs, right? And everybody knew their role.
He's getting about 5 yards a pop. This is what he's done today. First 10 carries, 11 through 20, and look at this, 5 yards a gain now. He basically wears down the defense. Schnurr with play action, lots of time, going for Bates. At the 20-yard line, outstanding catch by Bates.
Yeah, we had made some plays in the passing game, but we weren't going to beat Illinois throwing the ball. We knew we had one of the best, if not the best, running back in the nation. I think our line had a lot of pride, and our offense and Coach Barnett just trusted us.
Northwestern has trailed all day. Autry to the 2-yard line, no farther. 2nd and goal to go at the 2. Autry denied at the end zone. 3rd and goal to go inside the 1. Quarterback sneak worked last week, but not this time.
You know, we snuck it a couple of times, couldn't get in, and we called the timeout. And Barnett said, "You want to sneak it again?" I was like, "You're nuts. We're not sneaking again."
Steve went over to talk to the coaches, and he's like, "What do you think? Do you think we can get it?" And I go, "We ain't getting it up the middle."
Arnold goes in motion. Pitch to Autry going wide. Touchdown, Northwestern.
We called a toss sweep and pitched it to Autry. And Drexler made a great block. Autry got in the end zone. So that was the big moment for us in that game.
You know, that block that Darren Drexler made on that play where he pancaked Kevin Hardy, we made just enough blocks inside, and Darnell was able to score. And really, that came from the trust that the coaches had from us, kind of hearing what we thought would work or not work, and believing in us. And we ran a play to the outside and scored, and it put us up for the game.
For a 3-point lead. And the visitors from Evanston, the Northwestern Wildcats, who trailed 14-0 early in the second quarter play and scored 17 unanswered points and lead by 3.
Illinois is driving, and that the lead is in jeopardy in the final minute of that game. Illinois is driving for the winning score.
Well, again, that was one of the first times we were out on the field where we had to go out and win the game as a defense. And here we go. It's on us, right? I mean, not that it wasn't in the other games, but now we got the attention of the country on us.
Barnett knows his defense is on the field for at least 2 more plays. Weaver trying to thread the needle to Rob DeJoy. The pass reached him on 1 hop. 4th down for Illinois. Weaver going deep. Jason Dulick out there. Diving grab. 1st down at the Northwestern 16-yard line. Illinois trails by 3. 2nd down and 9. Weaver looks it over under pressure now. Weaver hit. Does he get it away? No, he did not. Matt Rice with a big sack. Back of the 29-yard line. 26 seconds to go in the game. 2 down territory. 3rd down and 22 with a snap off the mark. Picked up by Weaver. Steps up and then is hit and sacked. There's a penalty marker down as well. So Illinois, 20 seconds to go. No timeouts remaining. 3 receivers at the top of your screen. Weaver rolling to the top. Going for it all. To timed out there to the end zone. And it's intercepted by Northwestern. Eric Collier on the interception.
Huge plays, 2 huge sacks, and then the big pick to seal the deal, was just kind of like a big old exclamation point.
Looking at how close it could have came, I believe their all-star receiver, he was right there, and E-Call just out-jumped him for the ball and brought it down and said, that's mine, and we're closing this game out, and we ran off the field like, let's get out of here before it's a big fight.
Each school wants to take the state, but it was Northwestern's day that day, and it was our turn to be the best football team in Illinois.
When you're starting to look at all the things that matter, beating your rival and getting the Sweet Sioux in Evanston at that point was something that was really an important next step for the team, and it was a big win, big win.
It kept them on this winning streak. It kept them going. It kept their Big Ten record perfect, and it set them up for the second half of the Big Ten season. No, this isn't like the Minnesota game. We're playing a much better defense here. This is a heck of a defense, and we gave up a couple of touchdowns that we didn't anticipate giving up or hope that we'd give up. But this was a war down here in this setting with them having 2 weeks to prepare. This is a much more physical game.
I knew it was going to be tough. They were going to be pumped up. It's their homecoming. I mean, it's their home field. They sold out. So, I mean, it was going to be a tough game. We prepared for a tough game.
It's the biggest game of the year. We're going bowling now. We got the 7 victories. We're assured a bowl bid. And, there's nothing sweeter than this victory. We're playing for the trophy. But even more, we were playing for bragging rights in the state of Illinois. We knew for us to win, it would take a we effort, a whole team effort. Well, I don't know if they feel that way. They got a lot of great individuals on that team. But I think what made us win today was we have a team. And that's what won a game today, Northwestern's team.
With their record now at 7-1, Wildcat Mania was in full force in Evanston, and Dyke Stadium was ready to host one of its biggest games in its 70 years. Number 6 Northwestern, number 12 Penn State, under the lights, nationally televised on ABC.
Here they are, the Northwestern Wildcats, the story of the year so far in college football. A collection of Walter Middies who have unsettled the norm in the Big Ten Conference. Their seats in Dyke Stadium with rumps in them for the first time in a dozen years. They're having so much fun, there was a sign last week that read, "Let's go back to losing." Parking was easier. Even though they are at home, the Wildcats have a considerable chore in front of them.
Well, they do. Penn State is an awfully good offensive team, but the strength of this Northwestern team is their defense. And of that defense, they lead the nation in turnover margin. If they have a chance, they need to take the ball away.
I remember coming out of the tunnel. It was incredible. Just night games, there's something special about a night game. So we were fired up.
I believe it was the first night game in Dyke Stadium history, first time they brought the lights out. And so it created this electric atmosphere. It was televised, it was on ABC.
Each game just got bigger and bigger and ramped up, and there's more media there. And then to have Keith Jackson and Bob Greasy and, just to sit and to talk to them was so exciting.
I talked to Gary Barnett about what he would tell this football team as they approach this game, the most important game they had all year. He said he's not going to try and fire them up. This is a football team he wants to play within themselves. He wants them to come out, concentrate, stay focused, and play their game plan and not be forced into anything else. Keith?
It was, everything that every kid in the Midwest dreams about growing up and playing Big Ten football. And that environment was a build-up. As soon as the previous week's game was over, the build-up for that started, right? Penn State was the defending Big Ten champs. You got the all-time winningest coach in college football in Joe Paterno. I mean, this was it, right? There wasn't a whole lot of motivational things that Coach Barnett had to do that week.
And I'm telling you, I didn't have to do a thing for that game. Those players were so jacked up. Rob Johnson says, "Are you kidding me?" He says, "It's a primetime night game with Keith Jackson and Bob Greasy. All you got to do is tell us what time the bus leaves. That's all we need to know."
Schnurz passes away, going deep into the corner, and it is incomplete, and you got a penalty flag, and you got a foul coming up against Mark Tate. Dave Beasley had him beaten, and Tate got his hands on him, and it'll be a 15-yard penalty pass interference against Penn State.
Lots of media around it, lots of hubbub around the stadium. You know, we didn't have lights, we didn't have capacity for the crowds and the media they were talking about. So there were a lot of things going on around the stadium to make sure we were able to play what would essentially turn into a night game. So there was a lot of buildup that week. Clearly, Penn State comes in as a really storied program of college football. Joe Paterno, an iconic figure, a very solid football team, and one that we were going to have a chance to compete with, like you said, on national TV. And this was gonna be very telling.
On 3rd and goal, the handoff, Darnell Autry fights to the outside of the goal line, touchdown!
He was looking for somewhere to move. He kept moving down the line of scrimmage until he got over the plane.
12th touchdown of the year for Darnell Autry, his 11th rushing touchdown, and the Wildcats strike first with 8:47 to go in the first quarter.
Watch number 46. He's going to come in motion across the, not in motion, but after the ball snap. He's going to come in motion right there, gets a block. Now watch this block right here. 2 good blocks on that side. I tell you, just tough offense, tough running, gets the touchdown early for Northwestern.
The days leading up to the Penn State game were extremely exciting because of the momentum that we had. But there was also a lot of talk about, could our stadium handle it? And Jack Freeman, our director of facilities, he was really concerned about the upper deck, and he was worried about part of the upper deck falling on people in the lower deck. He was concerned about the scoreboard and with the 25-second clock be able to be seen. Keith Jackson's coming to town. So there was just a lot of concern and worry outside of the program about extenuating circumstances.
As the final seconds wind down here in the first, after 1 here in Evanston, Northwestern 7, Penn State nothing. We begin the second quarter here at Dyke Stadium. The Northwestern Wildcats lead the Penn State Nittany Lions 7-0.
We've been on the other side. So we've been on it when, Saturdays there were more, students in the library than at our games. We had seen that. We'd heard it. We'd kind of lived it. And just to be able to know that you are part of something that changed this dynamic, it was surreal.
Bob Greasy doing a game, and we had just beaten, his son Brian a couple of weeks prior, and so we're doing the interviews beforehand. When I hit Brian the second time when I picked him up, I said, "Say hi to your dad. I hope he does one of our games." So Bob says that to me before the game. Brian said you had a message for me. So great stuff, just fun stuff. And what a life for me, Chicago guy, dreaming of playing Big Ten football, now doing it, meeting Bob Greasy, meeting Keith Jackson. I mean, that was something, it's a dream come true. Check the box, Mom and Dad. I mean, I just talked to Keith Jackson, and he's saying my name.
Back to Pitts. Hit in the backfield by number 51, Pat Fitzgerald. Oh, Pat, he just gets in the mud and blood and rolls around and makes plays.
There's 51, Fitzgerald. All the linemen in front of him are taught to keep the offensive linemen off the linebackers. Milne, 22, runs right past him. He's a first-year starter and just been outstanding. And talking with defensive coordinator Ron Vanderlinden, he just said this kid has really stepped up and played. You see, leads the Big Ten in tackles.
3rd down and 3 for Penn State. Here goes Pitts. Can't get around the corner. They stuck it up. It's Fitzgerald one more time.
I swear it was almost as if Fitz had the headset of Coach Paterno knowing which play was going to be called, because he ran through the line of scrimmage so many times when he probably shouldn't have as far as his coach was concerned, but he made so many TFLs and tackles. It was like he had their playbook for a whole year coming up to that game.
You know, we got backers that can flow to the football. We got backers like Pat Fitzgerald that could tell you, hey, if this is going to be a run or a pass on every given snap. You know what a luxury that is when you can play with that type of football IQ and mentality. For a corner, it allowed me to squat when I know it's going to be, you know, a run, or like I need to buckle up here when I know it's a pass play. And I would say he was right in calling that pre-snap 99% of the time.
The question is Mike McGrew. Schnurr gives Darnell Autry to the outside at the 10. He's to the 5, into the end zone. Touchdown! Second touchdown today for Darnell Autry, and the Wildcats lead at 13-0.
And you can thank Dwayne Bates, Mr. Big-Time wide receiver, who's blocking on his man, the corner, all the way. If Dwayne Bates doesn't make the block at the point of attack, and he's not able to cut it back, Darnell Autry doesn't make that touchdown.
Oh, here's the kick by Goins. It is up. It is good.
Darnell Autry had a phenomenal game. Absolutely phenomenal game. Another tremendous performance by a dominant defense.
Not much offense so far in the ball game for Penn State. Mike Archie is the tailback. Freddie Scott in motion. Richards going to throw it. Lets it go for Bobby Ingram, and Ingram coming across has it intercepted by Chris Martin.
Bobby Ingram was, he had worked me over my sophomore year worse than any receiver in all of my college days. I mean, he just annihilated me. When BE came to town, I mean, I knew that I had to battle him again. And I think Jerry was really good because he would point out that stuff. And he would say, all right, you know, like, hey, you know, we know this guy got the best of you last time, but the great thing for you is you got an opportunity here, another one. Now, what are you going to do with it? For me, I was so locked in on going against that cat because, like I said, he had worked me unlike any other receiver. Right there, although Bobby Ingram, had a chance to get payback on him. So from a personal standpoint, that was huge. But we were flying around.
49-yard line. Schnurr's pass thrown to the sidelines to Bates, and it's complete down at the 30-yard line. Make it the 31. That's a yard or so, maybe 2 yards short of a first down. 14-0. Northwestern is leading Penn State, and they're close enough to be called threatening again. But this time, Darnell Autry runs into some Lions that won't give. Beasley and Bates, the wide people. He's looking at Bates, and he throws for Bates, and the ball is hit at the line of scrimmage. So Brian Goins is in the ball game, the redshirt freshman from Birmingham, Alabama. His long is 49 yards. The first one he kicked in varsity competition. 49, he got it up, he's got enough leg, and he tried to hook it back in, and he missed it from 44 yards.
When you talk about validating if you really belong and validating if you can truly be a contender in the Big Ten, was Penn State.
Because it was Penn State, once again, a big ball game, storied program, and, team we have to beat the way we look at it, and our guys at that point in time were feeling confident that we could probably beat anybody that would play.
Yeah, real physical game. I mean, you look back at Penn State's offense back then, it was 4 yards cloud of dust, throw it to Bobby Ingram.
Joe Paterno would really like to go in here with 7 points before this first half closes.
3rd and goal for Penn State. Back to throw it is Wally Richardson. Looks to the end zone. Touchdown. His tight end, Ulsimer, was open in the end zone. Our score at halftime, Northwestern 14, Penn State 7.
The Foundation Expect Victory is brought to you by Wintrust, Chicago's bank and official bank of Northwestern Athletics. The Foundation Expect Victory is supported by Northwestern Medicine, relentless in the quest for better care.
Going into halftime, had you felt that the momentum had changed a little bit at the end of the half?
I was concerned that it had, Dave. I felt like we were so emotionally high for this game, probably the highest that I've seen us, and I was a little concerned when we went out and scored twice that we might play ourselves out, and that when you score too fast sometimes you let your guard down, and I was concerned that that score that Penn State put on the board right at the end of the first half was going to give us that scenario.
All right, Fitzgerald had a big first half. Stephen Pitts and John Whitman in the backfield. It's Pitts with the ball, and he gets it out to a crawl almost the 22-yard line.
Pitts had a phenomenal game against Penn State, 20-something tackles. Felt like the announcers were calling his name on literally every play. Now, a little secret, though, is Pitts was also pretty good at, like, staying down on the pile and then making sure he got up with his 51 pointing towards the announcer. So don't let it fool you that his number was called a lot for a reason. He was always quick to jump on the pile, make sure his number was showing.
That sounds like a very jealous quarterback that handed the ball off a lot to a great running back. Yeah, I mean, Schnur gets talked about as one of the great quarterbacks to ever hand the ball off here at Northwestern. So it was great to be his teammate. And, when you jump on the pile back in the 90s, you got credit for the tackle. Not my fault. If you can't figure it out, you probably shouldn't be at Northwestern. So not surprised that he had some excuse on why he wasn't all Big Ten or all American or won the Davey O'Brien Award. But it's really hard when you just do this. But he was really good at that. I mean, he was really, really good at that.
He was down before it came loose.
Yeah, he was frozen there, though. He didn't get out of the way at all. Here's the punt by Kenya. And it takes a Penn State bounce and keeps on rolling. And the Nittany Lions will, did it touch a Penn? It did. It touched a Wildcat. And Penn State gets recovery of the football down at about the 22-yard line.
And I think the defense played well, too. And certainly Fitz was starting to show himself for what he was, a tremendous leader and heady player and, everywhere on defense. And yeah, I mean, we were having fun. That was a great game. It was fun to be involved in a back and forth thing where everybody's playing well.
They were one of the most prolific offenses in the nation. So again, our defense all year has been playing very, very solid, holding teams under 20 points or 3 touchdown area. It's probably the first time I said, man, we're going to have to really do some things on offense because this team may put up some points. But give credit to our defense for holding their ground.
This will be a 24-yard field goal attempt from the right hash mark for Brett Conway. Here's the snap. The kick is up, and it is good. And the Nittany Lions have pulled to within 4 with 8:32 to go in the third quarter.
Snurback throws, has his man to pull back, and Matt Hartle can't hang on to it. 3rd and long. Back goes Snur. Pressure coming, gets it off, goes big with it. Bates is out there. He's got it and dropped it. Oh, man, what a try by Dwayne Bates. He had it in his hands, but he had spent everything he had in his body trying to reel it in, and he couldn't possess it.
Really, our defense is the reason that we did so well that season. They say that defense wins championships. It's a cliche, but it is so true. Our defense was dominating. To your point, they had this bend but don't break philosophy, and they kept us in ball games.
Defense played great. We needed them to. Third quarter, that game was really tough. We had the ball. The offense had the ball for 3 plays in the third quarter, and we still managed to keep the lead.
We weren't a team that necessarily rotated a ton or, platoon guys or had whole groups come out at a time. So you were kind of in there the whole time. Just try to look at each other and go one more play. You get close to stopping them, then they get a first down.
I think the great thing about football is that a play is pretty much 5, maybe 8 seconds, maybe 10 seconds long if someone's not scrambling, running back and forth. And so I can handle, 5, 6, 7 seconds at a time. But yeah, if we're going to be out there running 15 seconds, it's like conditioning drill. I don't want to do that.
Pat Fitzgerald, number 51. Watch, there'll be no white hats on Fitzgerald. Nobody lays a hand on him. Give the credit to the defensive line for the Wildcats. That's what they're supposed to do. They're just a bunch of blue-collar guys that take up all the offensive linemen and allow Fitzgerald to make all the tackles.
This will be a 27-yard field goal attempt. Here it is. Here's the placement. The kick by Conway is up. It is no good. No good. He missed it wide to the right.
And they're disputing the call. The entire 11-man team on the field is all over the official.
I've never seen an entire team go to the officials like that to argue. 14:46 to go. Northwestern 14, Penn State 10.
Third quarter stats only. Look at Penn State, dominant, 14 minutes and 30 seconds to only 30 seconds. 26 plays to 3.
There were almost 50,000 people in Dyke Stadium that day. At one point in that game, they had to stop play because the fans in the south end zone were blocking the play clock. And so they had to clear those fans away so the players and the officials could see the play clock in the south end zone.
We had put the 25-second clock at the end zone right by the scoreboard, probably anticipating that no one ever sat there. But in fact, we had people not only sitting there, but standing there in front of it. And so I think we'd gotten a delay game call or very close to it. And I said, a guy can't see it. And he looks over and he makes an announcement.
In the south end zone, please sit down. The offense cannot see the 25-second clock in the south end zone.
It is not working very well.
There you go.
Now you get them to sit down there, and you can see what there is of it. Got a double reverse going here with Dave Beasley carrying the ball and picking up a first down for Northwestern at the Penn State 35-yard line. First down at the Penn State 35, and Penn State's in the neutral zone, offside. They got a free play. Darnell Autry runs for 12 yards and first down.
When he got going downhill, you just couldn't stop him, and he had just enough wiggle in him to make you miss. But he was a downhill runner, and he was hard to bring down. But he practiced as hard as he played, and I think that had a lot to do with that. Because if you practice that hard, then your chances are you're going to play that hard, and he did. He always did.
Will give it off to Darnell Autry to the right side into the end zone. Touchdown! Penalty marker is down. It is a touchdown for the Wildcats. There was offsides against Penn State. And Northwestern extends the lead.
So here comes Penn State now with only 10:56 to play in the ball game, and Wally Richardson under siege is going nowhere. He has been a tremendous defensive performer today. Nothing there for Curtis Enos. And so Penn State is just simply getting whipped along the line of scrimmage right now.
He was an inspiration out there. He knew where everybody should be. He could diagnose. I don't know that I've seen anybody or coached anybody could diagnose plays the way he could. He knew what was. Now he's well coached. Ron Vanderlyn coached him, but he had to accept coaching, and he did. And he just knew everything was going to happen, and those guys came to depend on him. And he was like the guy. I mean, Fitz was also a jokester and a prankster and all that. He wasn't goody two-shoes now. He was a guy that those guys loved, but he fit right into that team. That whole team was sort of like that. And but I think once everybody just paid attention to Fitz. He just had it, and those guys respected it. And the fact that he made the plays, if they come in his direction, he's going to make the play. Now you make the play if it comes in your direction. And everybody just sort of fed off of that.
On 3rd and 10, Wally Richardson is sacked 5 times. They've taken him down. It's Pat Fitzgerald one more time.
I don't think anybody's blocking Fitzgerald today. I think it's just a free ride for him today. I think he's got a deal or something. Here's Fitzgerald right here, just going to come right through before he has an opportunity to even look downfield. What is this, the 5th sack today?
Yep. It wasn't like I was doing anything superhuman or athletic. I was just unblocked. It was just the ultimate defensive scheme for a middle linebacker to play in. And, those guys up front, Ricey and Reif and Daly and Lazowski, I mean, the list goes on and on. Larry Curry, Ray Roby, Kewan DeBose. I mean, I could look over at that picture, that I have here in my office. I mean, it's a list of guys. Mikey Warren, unbelievable group of unselfish D linemen that just played their fannies off and played within the framework of the defense. And just really thankful for the way that they played so I can make a lot of plays.
But look at what old Patrick has done today. He's been stacking them.
And that game was I think, it solidified in our mindset that we are legit and we're well on our way.
You know, there's a moment I remember looking up and the full moon appearing over Dyke Stadium. And it was just a perfect November night, not a cloud in the sky. And I just remember thinking, this is how it's supposed to be.
Just really something that I don't think anybody that was there at that time will ever forget. And that was the first time you can see the banners that says "We can smell the roses" or "Rose Bowl bound." And you know, I don't know if those fans know it, but we saw those. I mean, we saw it, and it was definitely, I think, again, for that team, the next big step.
It is the first 8-win season for Northwestern since 1948. That was the year they went to the Rose Bowl and beat California. Let me refresh your memory. If the Buckeyes win the rest of their games, and they do have to play at Michigan, then Ohio State will go to the Rose Bowl because of a better overall record, because they don't play each other.
Should they lose one, though? If Ohio State loses one and Northwestern goes unbeaten, you're looking at the Rose Bowl representative.
Notre Dame, they couldn't believe we beat them. Like, they were in disbelief and just shocked. Michigan, at that point, we earned some credibility, but they were still surprised we beat them. And then finally, when we played and beat Penn State, there was respect involved. Like, it was like, okay, we just got beat by a better team. And I don't feel like Notre Dame or Michigan viewed us or treated us that way.
Forward, they're going. Need about a foot. Well, I don't know if Steve Schnurr was able to stick his head in there and get it or not, because that door shut pretty quickly. Let's sort him out. Got it.
After that game, it was insanity, right? I mean, the clock ticks down. I remember the Penn State players were really a reflection of Joe Paterno too. They came over and congratulated us as we were, standing in the huddle, and shook our hands and said good luck the rest of the way. And then the avalanche of people happened. It was insane. I mean, literally, it was a player's dream. I mean, as a kid growing up in the Midwest with all the things that were happening that week, who was calling the game, and then to have the fans rush in the field, it was a dream. It was just an absolute dream looking back on it.
Do the things that people remember. We have a saying that says they forget what you do in September, and they only remember what you do in November. And so if that's the kind of team we wanted to become, then this was a fitting start and a fitting challenge for us.
Joe Paterno meeting with Barnett in the center of the field, and they come storming down out of the stadium to help join in the celebration. And they are climbing the goalpost, Ronnie. I told you they would. Your final score, 21-10, and here's Lynch 1 with Gary Barnett.
Okay, Coach. Keith, I'm right here with Gary Barnett. Gary, obviously this has to be one of the biggest wins for you, maybe the biggest yet.
Well, they just keep getting bigger every week. It seems that way, Lynn, and every game is so big now, and our kids just keep reacting to them, and they've never been in this position before, but they still keep handling them, so I'm just really proud of them.
We knew this was going to be a tough ball game. I thought it was going to be more of a tactical game, but you manhandled a good Penn State football team.
We're a lot more physical than most people know, and we're getting better every week, and that's what we've been trying to do, is just get a little better every week.
Coach, how do you feel every time you have a game this season, you constantly have to prove just how good you are?
Well, every team does. I don't care who you are. Every week you got to go back and prove it.
Well, they didn't take the goalpost down, but they might take us down.
We got no chance.
Okay, Coach, get in the locker room. I'll talk to you later.
All right, that's quite a melee. Get out of there and protect yourself. As you look at the standings, Northwestern now 6-0.
Oh yeah, that's our motto. We got to make a couple of big plays every game, and we'll end up winning the game. So Defense came up big, like usual, like we should.
I don't know. How about the 3 touchdowns today?
It's exciting. It was good. It was good stuff, and I owe it all the linemen and fullbacks and wide receivers blocking and tight ends. I mean, they were doing a hell of a job today.
Put this winning streak in perspective for us, if you can.
I'd probably call it madness. I mean, look at all you guys all over the place here. This was never like this before in the past, and it's fun, but at the same time, we have to stay focused, and we got 2 weeks left, and the main thing right now is Iowa Hawkeyes, and they're going to be coming in here. They got, I think it's like 22 years they've beaten us in a row, and it's time to get the monkey off our back.